What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time for y'all that was sent in to me about an emo kid that ended up punching a grandma, which, you know, is right up the alley for the channel here. Not sure how I feel saying that. Regardless, before we get into it, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Your grandma's gonna get in a tussle with an emo kid, and you don't want that. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Nice racking her ass Brazilian, just turned 21, but my bank's a million, swear I'm...
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so as you guys know, Emo Kid story times are kind of a classic here on the channel. Haven't gotten to tell one in a while, so when I saw this one sent in to me about an emo kid punching a grandma, it definitely piqued my interest. That being said, this person was in 9th grade at the time of this story, and for this person's school in 9th grade, they ended up going on a field trip to a local amusement park. Alright, I'm not gonna say the amusement park, but let's just say there's things that blow in the wind and there's more than 5 of them. Regardless, this was a very, very fun day at the school. It was kind of legendary that when you were in 9th grade, you got to spend a day at the amusement park. It was something people looked forward to. You know, if their older siblings had done it, it was kind of a tradition. But one of the things that kind of sucked about this is you got put into a random group of like 4 kids to go to the amusement park with. They didn't let you pick your friends. You couldn't have your mom come. Like, they just kind of randomly assigned you. And the person that sent this in to me ended up getting put in a group with like 2 normal kids and then one dude that was, well, he was emo. And listen, that's not a bad thing. I went through an emo phase myself. I understand that people are gonna have phases, but he was just one of those emo kids that just took it a little bit too far, you know. He would tell people that he drank animal blood, would talk about how, like, the only thing that makes him feel human is pain. Like, just taking it way too far, making people uncomfy and stuff. And so the entire day, they're kind of goofing off in the amusement park, and this kid is trying to shut down any fun. Like, anytime somebody smiles or has joy, he just has some really depressing comment to make. Like, there was one time they got off a ride and there was a character there and they took a selfie with him, and he was like, yeah, whatever, allow yourself to be exploited by the capitalist beasts that own this park. And it's just like, all right, man, listen, sure, yeah, the park makes money, sure, it's capitalism, but you just don't really need to crap on like seeing a character when you get off a ride, because it just, why be mad about that? At the end of the day, it just doesn't really matter, right? And anyways, after this just kind of all day making little comments, trying to crap on everybody's fun, it really started to annoy the person that had sent this in to me. So they just kind of started to like troll him back. Anytime he said something really depressing, they would say something like crazy upbeat, just trying to annoy him as much as possible. And obviously it started to work. The emo kid started to be like, why are you trying to make everything upbeat? Like, stop trying to belittle me or whatever. And the subscriber that sent this to me is like, I'm not doing anything, man. You just turn everything negative, so after you say everything negative, I just take a second to say something positive because you being negative is really annoying, right? Like, he kind of says that to the emo kid. And the emo kid is like, dude, if you have a problem with me, just say you have a problem with me. And the subscriber at this point has once again been annoyed all day, so he goes, well, I just did say that I have a problem with you, dude. You being negative all the time is really annoying. I don't know how much clearer I have to lay it out with you that I have a problem with you. And listen, you know, that is probably going to escalate the situation. I'm not going to sit here and say the subscriber didn't know that. That being said, it does get to a point where it's like, all right, bro, if somebody keeps being like, oh yeah, say what you mean, say what you mean, and you've been saying what you mean, at a certain point you just have to phrase it a little bit meaner, you know? And at that point the emo kid is like, oh, well, if you got beef, then I have beef, and he shoves the subscriber. And keep in mind, this is going down while they are in line for a ride, this little altercation. And at the time, they don't really recognize who's around them because they're just kind of caught up in the moment of fighting. But in front of them is a family with a dad, a mom, and then like 3 little kids, right? And behind them is an old lady and her husband. And so whatever, after the emo kid shoves the subscriber, naturally, you're not going to just let somebody shove you like that and just have absolutely no reaction. You're going to do something back. So he pushes the emo kid back. And at this point, they're having a shove match. And the other 2 kids that are in their group are like trying to break them up. They're like, come on, guys, we're in line. It's not that serious. And they get between them. And at this point, the emo kid is on one side and he's trying to reach over the kids that just got between them and hit the subscriber. And the subscriber is standing in front of the grandma and her husband, right? And so the emo kid, in like the fit of rage, you know, being so mad at his life, I don't know, just decides that right now is the perfect time to attack somebody in the line for a ride. So he just kind of does like a giant lunge over the 2 kids that have broken them up. But the only problem is being emo doesn't necessarily mean you have fighting experience, so he telegraphs it way too early. it's obvious to basically everybody paying attention that he's about to jump and try to hit him, because he kind of looks and like does like, bends his legs down to get more air. It's just obvious. So the subscriber at that point has more than enough time to like react to it. And if you know somebody's about to jump on you and try to hit you, you're not just gonna stand there. So all he does is just simply move to the side, dude. He doesn't do some like ninja backflip. You don't really have to do that. But at that point, the guy's already in the air coming down with the punch. So when he moves out of the way, the person behind him is now going to be on the receiving end of this. And I want to make it clear, the subscriber that sent this to me said that like, if he had known that the old lady was behind him and he was going to hit the old lady, he would have just taken the punch. Like in retrospect, now that this has happened, he would have just taken it on the chin, which is the right thing to do. You never let an old lady take the punch for you. But in the moment, he didn't think about who was behind him, so he just moves out of the way. So the emo kid is coming down, and he turns and looks, and he realizes that he's about to hit the old lady. So he lands and just basically swipes the old lady. His fist connects right in her jaw. Obviously, she does like a oh reaction that an old lady would do when she gets punched in the face, and she falls back, and her husband kind of catches her. And at that point, the emo kid is just deer in headlights, and the husband's like, "You just hit my wife?" And so he's holding his wife, but at that point, the dad turns around, who has the kids and his wife, and he's like, "Are you guys fighting in line? Are you kidding me? You hit an old woman?" And he's getting pissed off, so now they're kind of pinched from both sides, right? And at that point, the two other kids in the group that weren't involved in the fight, they just dip. They skirt out the line and they run. And at that point, the emo kid is still standing there in shock. Like, I genuinely don't think he had thought that he was going to hit the old lady, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he thought this through either. And so the subscriber looks and goes, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." He starts apologizing to both of them. But for some reason, the emo kid in that moment, instead of starting to apologize or be like, "Oh crap, I'm sorry," he just starts swearing like a sailor. And listen, I've got quite the potty mouth when I'm not on YouTube. I gotta keep it clean on here, gotta keep those green dollar signs on the monetization symbol. That being said, I understand swearing. There's just a time and a place for it. And when you just punched an old lady and there's a bunch of little kids standing next to you and their dad's already pissed off, it's probably not the time to start dropping them. So he just starts going crazy, F this, you know what I mean? And listen, I understand you're in the moment, you're pissed off. Like I said, I'm not saying I've never sworn in my life. That'd be ridiculous. I do it all the time. You just can't be surprised when at that point, the dad that was already mad about you goofing off in line and hitting the old lady is like, "Stop swearing in front of my kids." And at that point, he grabs the emo kid just to kind of like hold him there. And the subscriber realizes that it's probably best for him to skedaddle at this moment, so he just kind of scoots and tries to go out the line, but the old man grabs him by the back of his shirt to hold him there. And at this point, it's caused a big enough disruption, like enough of this has gone down that the workers are now aware and like they're coming to investigate what's going on. It's caused quite the commotion. Everybody else in line is like, "He hit the old lady," no one's very happy with this. So the workers start coming over and like they both can't escape and they start trying to figure out what's going on. And pretty soon park security comes over and they get taken to like this little room, right? Where they're basically going to get talked to about what happened. And they have the security footage and they're watching it. And sure enough, they don't really believe the story at first where he goes, "No, I just moved out of the way and he hit the old lady." So they go and they're watching the footage and they see the kid like telegraph the punch, jump, everyone move, and him just hit the old lady. And at that point, they're like, "All right, well, clearly this is just a case of like you guys being idiots, like this is just ridiculous. You guys are going to have to go. Like, who are you here with? You guys have to leave the park. Both of you are getting kicked out." And at that point, they both don't want to admit that they're here with the school field trip because they know that, like, that's going to make them the most unpopular kids in school. But sure enough, dude, they finally get it out of them. They're like, "We're here with the school." So they end up contacting the entire field trip and being like, "All of you guys have to leave because 2 of your students caused this problem, blah, 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 blah." And the entire school has to leave the amusement park because this guy decided to try to fight somebody in line. And thankfully, it was near the end of the day. Like, this was just a buildup of tension throughout the whole day. It wasn't like they were leaving crazy early. But still, nobody wants to be the reason that your entire school has to get rounded up and herded out of the place that everybody's wanted to be all year, dude. And so, of course, when they're getting herded out, they have the 2 standing by, like, the person in charge of the field trip, like the teacher in charge of it. And she's like, "You guys can thank this 2 for this situation." And the subscriber starts being like, "No, it was him. It was him. He punched an old lady." And the emo kid at that point is probably just so embarrassed. And like, you're in trouble at that point either way that he starts trying to fight the subscriber again. Obviously, that gets broken up pretty quickly. They're right by the teacher. But at that point, they're like, "All right, right, you guys have to ride back on separate buses. I'm so embarrassed of you. We're going to talk about this when we get back to the school. All that stuff. You know, the usual speech you would get if you fought in an amusement park. All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt the video for 1 second. On screen now is a gift card code. I give one away in every video to say thanks for subscribing and turning on notifications. So if you haven't already, you should. And if you do already, you're a G. And on that note, I'll shut up and get back to the video. Thanks. Also press the like button. Otherwise, your mom's a hoe. Anyways, the entire bus ride, they're both getting lectured about the, think about what you've done. They get back to the school. They get taken to the principal's office. Their parents have been contacted, the whole shebang. And they start asking what happened. And the subscriber is kind of explaining what's up. And he's like, well, you know, he kept whining the entire time and da-da-da-da-da, so I started counteracting that by being annoyingly positive, and then we started fighting, and he went to hit me, and so I moved, and he punched an old lady. And at that moment, the emo kid's parents are like, oh, come on, that can't be what happened. Is that true? And the emo kid is just silent, right? Because you don't want to have to be the one to look at your parents and go, yes, it is true that I Mike Tyson'd an old lady, George Foreman'd her, slapped her on the George Foreman grill. You know, this old lady probably hasn't been punched that hard since back in the time where she was sneaking into speakeasies. She just wanted to ride the roller coaster. Next thing you know, she gets a face full of fist. I don't think anyone wants to be in that situation. So he's silent, and his parents are kind of like, you hit an old lady? And he's like, I didn't mean to hit the old lady. And at that point, they're like, oh my gosh, what do you mean you didn't mean to hit her? And so even the subscriber kind of steps in to defend him a bit. He goes, no, he really didn't mean to. I just moved out of the way. But at that point, it's just an entire crapshoot. They admit to fighting. They admit to the entire thing. And the principal is like, I'm so disappointed. You realize this puts in jeopardy this entire tradition. Like, they don't have to let our school come do this. All this stuff. And so, you know, they're kind of in a crap ton of trouble. Not to mention the entire school is not very big fans of them at that point. Because, yeah, this has been a tradition for a very long time. So if next year they're not allowed to go back to this amusement park because of them, there's going to be a lot of people very upset with them. You know what I mean? So, whatever, they get suspended for 5 days, which all in all is a week off school. Obviously, it's not good. It goes on your record or whatever, but I've never really gotten understanding, why they suspend people for fighting. If anything, I feel like, you know, if you're going to do a punishment for fighting, it should be like, you guys have to spend time together organizing the library. That's way worse than suspension could ever be. I'm not trying to give anyone ideas, you know. I'm just saying, in the day of modern technology, a day off with your phone is way better than a day of sitting in class, so you might want to rethink that through. You're kind of encouraging people to fight. Thankfully, the amusement park kind of looked at it and was like, all right, 2 kids being idiots and fighting isn't a good enough reason to cancel this tradition we've had with you guys forever, so it's not like they were in trouble, but those 2 specific students are not allowed back. Yeah, which kind of makes sense. I feel like if you're in an amusement park and you're getting angry enough to start throwing hands with each other, it's probably not the best idea to just let them back. But hey, you know, maybe you're trying to go back with the fam. What do they do in that situation? If you do try to go back to a place you're banned from and it's been a long period of time, do they have your ID on file, or are they just looking for the 15-year-old that punched the grandma? If the emo kid got a haircut, got rid of the dark hair, could he go back to the amusement park? Would that be a possibility? Would they even recognize him? The world may never know. All in all, though, I will say it's always people ending up in these situations that, shouldn't be fighting. I'm one of those people. Every time I've gotten in a fight, it tends to not go incredibly well. It's why I avoid it at all costs now. I just feel like emo guys shouldn't be trying to do acrobatic punches with literally no experience. To use a video game metaphor here, I feel like a jumping punch is an advanced move, at least level 4. If you're a level 1 fighter, you've got no experience, you're just kind of winging it out there, it's probably not the time to be whipping out the advanced moves, dude. Especially not in a practice situation. You're trying to actually fight someone in an amusement park, it's time to pull out the moves you know are gonna work, because you're getting banned from the amusement park and getting kicked out, so it better be a pretty dang good fight. You know, you don't just start whipping out the experimental phase. Imagine if that's how we did it, dude. On D-Day, instead of using the guns we knew would work, we'd sent them in with flashlights hoping it would blind them, and it just didn't work. You know, there's certain times it's not time to experiment. Not that D-Day and fighting people in an amusement park are the same thing. All right, whatever. I'm just on a metaphor streak today. Regardless, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. If you liked today's video, be sure to comment the word emo down there. It helps the video hit recommended. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. It's a great way to get a discount on G Fuel. Help me out. Everyone's a winner. Last but certainly not least, I did go ahead and put some of my story times up on Spotify, so that way you guys can listen to them over there, download them for offline listening, not watch gameplay, whatever it is that floats your boat. It'll be at the top of the description. Feel free to check that out. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys tomorrow with another video. I'm out. Peace.